Hey guys, math lesson. Today's lesson 107. Can you believe how far we are? Um, this lesson is a very simple concept if you understand it. So let's dive in. We're going to be adding and subtracting fractions with common denominators. So if you look at 675, it goes into it a little bit, and I'll read it to you. When adding fractions, it helps to think of the denominators as objects, such as apples, just as one apple plus one apple equals two apples, 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3. So you can turn your page and see that visually. And it has that in little circles for you to see. So when we add fractions, if the denominators are the same, which that's all you're going to see right now is common denominators, adding and subtracting fractions with common denominators. When the denominator is the same, all you do is add the numerators. It's so easy. You do not add the denominators. That's very important, because think of it like if I have, a full pizza and I cut it into fifths and I eat 1/5 here and 1/5 there. I've eaten 2/5, right? I haven't eaten, if you add the denominators, you would get 10 tenths. So you would have 2/10, and that's not the same. That's the same as 1/5 actually. So do not add the denominators. Just really, really important to remember that. You only add the numerators. The denominator stays the same. So let's get into it. Our example, the first one says, Blake mixed 3/5 of a pound of cashews with 1/5 of a pound of pecans. What is the weight in pounds of the cashew and pecan mixture? So we have 3/5 plus 1/5. Now, all we do is add the numerators only. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Then we keep the denominator the same. Nothing changes. So it's 4/5. It's super easy. So it was 4/5 of a pound. So subtracting the fractions is the same way. So example 2 says, to make a small bow for a present, Denitra cut 1/5 of a yard of ribbon from a length of ribbon that was 3/5 of a yard long. What is the length of the ribbon that was not used for the bow? So it started as 3/5 of a yard, and she took away 1/5. So we have 3/5 minus 1/5. Again, we only subtract the numerator, not the denominator. So 3 minus 1 we all know is 2. And our denominator stays the same. So she has 2/5 of a yard left. Now look at example 3. It says add 2 3/5 plus 3 1/5. So on this, we aren't adding only fractions. We're adding mixed numbers. The way we do that is it shows you a helpful tip. You can stack them. Do it vertically. So 2 3/5 plus 3 1/5. So we add the fraction first. So we have 3/5 plus 1/5, and we know that's 4/5. So we go ahead and add our fractions first, and then we add our whole numbers. 2 plus 3, which is 5. So our answer is 5 4/5. It's really, really easy. Example 4 is subtraction, and we're going to do subtraction the same way. It's 5 2/3 minus 1 1/3. So now we just subtract. We do 2/3 minus 1/3, which is 1/3, because 2 minus 1 is 1. And then 5 minus 1, which is 4. So our answer is 4 and 1/3. It's a really simple thing. Just remember to always only add your numerator. Now look at example 5. I'm going to need to erase this, but I don't have an eraser. Okay, example 5 says, in the race, Martin rode his bike 7.5 miles and ran 2.5 miles. Altogether, how far did Martin ride his bike and run? So we want to know how far he went total. So we're still going to add 7.5 miles plus 2.5 miles. And again, we add our fractions first. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 2/2. Now, we're going to write that. And I know what you're all thinking. Well, 2/2 is equal to 1. We'll get there. 7 plus 2, 9. Now, we wouldn't say he ran 9 2/2 miles, would we? Because we know 2/2 equals a whole. So we have 9 and a whole. So 9 plus 1 is 10. So his total distance was 10 miles. And I think that's all I have for you today. You will do your lesson practice, A through N, on 677, and you'll do your independent work starting on 678. You'll do even problems today, skip 20, do 19 instead. So you'll come across and you'll do 19, but then you can skip 20. So even problems, skip 20, do 19. As always, if you have any questions, let me know, okay?